And it ended up being one of the most enjoyable relationships I've ever had.
I saw her on a TV show, and I had never seen her before, and I said, that's it. Whoever she is, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to take a chance.
At 89 years old, Robert Redford, the golden boy of Hollywood, has finally admitted something the world always wondered: the women he could never forget. For decades, fans saw him as the Sundance Kid, the heartthrob every woman wanted and every man envied. But behind the cool smile and timeless charisma lived a man haunted by loves he couldn't shake. Loves that defined him, broke him, and in the end, brought him peace. These weren't tabloid flings or publicity romances. These were the 6 women who shaped Robert Redford's heart forever. Let's begin. Number 1, Lola Van Wagenen, the first love who never left his soul. Long before the awards, the magazine covers, and the bright lights of Hollywood, Robert Redford was just a young man chasing uncertain dreams. And in that chapter, one woman stood by him, Lola Van Wagenen. She wasn't an actress or a Hollywood starlet. She was a historian, intelligent and steady, someone who saw Robert not as a rising star, but simply as Bob. They married in 1958, at a time when the world didn't yet know his name, but Lola already believed in him. Together they raised 4 children, building a family while Redford fought his way into stardom. But the very success that lifted him into legend also tore at their bond. Hollywood is not kind to distance, and Redford's career demanded everything. The late nights, the constant travel, the pressures of fame, they wore down the marriage. After nearly 30 years together in 1985, the couple quietly divorced. No scandals, no public fights, just 2 people who realized they had grown apart. Yet, Redford never stopped speaking of her with respect. Even decades later, there's a sense that part of his heart never let go. Lola was his anchor in the storm, and anchors, even when released, leave an imprint for life. Number 2, Natalie Wood, the co-star who captured his heart. In the 1960s, Hollywood shimmered with glamour, and at its center was Natalie Wood, already a legend, luminous and fragile all at once. Redford worked with her on Inside Daisy Clover, 1965, and This Property is Condemned, 1966. On screen, their chemistry was undeniable. He was the charming drifter, she the vulnerable dreamer. Off-screen, whispers suggested their bond was more than professional. For Natalie, who grew up in the harsh spotlight, Redford's quiet, private nature was refreshing. For Redford, Natalie was both radiant and delicate, a woman hiding storms beneath her beauty. Whether they shared a romance or simply a deep, unspoken connection, one thing is certain: she left her mark. When Natalie died tragically in 1981, it shook Hollywood, and it haunted Redford. He rarely spoke of her, but when he did, his voice carried a tenderness that revealed how much she meant. Natalie Wood wasn't a lasting love, but she was a spark he could never forget. Number 3, Barbra Streisand, the passion that burned bright. If Natalie was a spark, Barbra Streisand was a wildfire. Their pairing in The Way We Were, 1973, became one of the most iconic love stories in film history. Barbra was intensity, emotion, and fire, living every moment at full flame. Redford was her opposite, calm, reserved, the embodiment of restraint. Together, they were oil and water, and yet, on screen, that tension created unforgettable magic. Off-screen, things were complicated. Streisand admitted later that she was captivated by him, calling him the golden boy. But Redford, always protective of his private life, kept his distance. Her boldness fascinated him, but also overwhelmed him. Their story was mirrored in The Way We Were itself, a love that couldn't survive the pull of time. For Streisand, he may have been the one who slipped away. For Redford, she became the love story he could only live in fiction, not in reality. Number 4, Sonia Braga, the woman who changed his world. By the 1980s, Robert Redford wasn't just an actor, he was a filmmaker, a force shaping Hollywood. It was then that he crossed paths with Brazilian actress Sonia Braga, famous for Kiss of the Spider-Woman and known for her fiery presence. She was passion personified, sensual, fearless, unfiltered. For Redford, who had lived much of his life with careful restraint, she was a storm that swept him up completely. Their connection was magnetic, cultural, emotional, spiritual. Friends described their relationship as consuming, even volatile. Where Redford craved stability, Braga thrived on intensity. Their romance burned hot but couldn't last. Still, Redford never forgot her. He later called her a force of nature, a flame he could never fully put out. Number 5. Sibylle Szaggars, the love that gave him peace. After decades of fame, heartbreak, and turbulence, Robert Redford finally found calm in the most unexpected way. In the 1990s, he met Sibylle Szaggars, a German-born painter whose art was inspired by nature. Unlike the fiery personalities of his past, Sibylle brought peace. She wasn't chasing the spotlight, and she didn't demand Hollywood attention. Instead, she shared his love for quiet places, for the mountains and forests of Utah, where Redford always retreated for balance. Their relationship blossomed away from the cameras. After more than a decade together, they married in 2009 in a private ceremony in Hamburg, Germany. For Redford, Sibylle wasn't just a partner. She was his sanctuary. At 89, she remains the closing act of his love story, the steady hand who walked with him into his twilight years. Number 6. Jane Fonda, the romance that never was. Few on-screen pairings ever felt as natural as Robert Redford and Jane Fonda. From Barefoot in the Park, 1967, to The Electric Horseman, 1979, and decades later, Our Souls at Night, 2017, their chemistry was timeless. Audiences always wondered, were they more than co-stars? The answer is no, but their bond was something deeper. Fonda often admitted she wished they had been more. Redford admired her courage, her activism, her fearlessness. But timing was never right. Redford was guarded, private. Fonda was bold, unapologetically public. Perhaps he feared romance would ruin the trust they shared. Instead, they remained friends who, whenever reunited, slipped back into an ease that felt like home. Their final film together, Our Souls at Night, showed two widowed neighbors finding unexpected love late in life. It was fiction, but it felt like a glimpse of what might have been. For Redford, Jane Fonda was proof that not all love stories need romance. Some bonds are too precious to risk. At 89, Robert Redford finally admitted, these were the 6 women he could never get over. Not because of scandal or gossip, but because they helped shape the man behind the myth. Which of these love stories touched you the most? Share your thoughts below. And if you enjoy uncovering Hollywood's hidden truths, don't forget to like and subscribe for more from Legendary Archives.